Parshas Chukat, the story of the Mei Meriva, the chet for which Moshe Rabbeinu received a terrible einish. He's not allowed to go into Eretz Yisrael. So much ink has been used in paper explaining what was the chet, what was such a terrible thing that Moshe Rabbeinu did. If we read the psukim and just the simple pirush of Rashi and the Chazal, we see the story that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him to take the staff, speak to the rock, and then it says that he hit the rock after he gathered Klal Yisrael. He said, Shimu na'amarim, listen to me, you rebels. I'm going to bring water from the stone, and then he hit the stone. He wasn't supposed to hit; he was supposed to speak to it. Rashi says, "No, HaKadosh Baruch Hu." Here, Moshe Rabbeinu very, very well understood what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said. Speak, but it was the wrong one, and the stone didn't give water. So then he hit the stone, and that punkt was the right one. Shem Shmuel says we can't understand that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand the nevuah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If we reading the psukim in 2021 and we see where it says Hashem said, "Take the staff and speak to the stone," and we know that you're supposed to speak to the stone. Obviously, we know Moshe Rabbeinu very well knew that he was supposed to speak and not to hit the stone. On the other hand, it does say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu, "Take the staff." Why should you take a stick if you're not going to use it? Shem Shmuel says HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew that there would be a situation possibly that Moshe Rabbeinu would not be able to speak to the stone. Maybe he wouldn't be able to find the right stone, and there would be a lot of stress because the people are gathering, and he's not able to react, and he's not able to spend time looking for the stone. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, fine, there's plan B, take the stick and hit another stone. It's fine, you can speak to that stone. Why? Shem Shmuel says in a different place that stone already was softened. Kaviyachal was already softened because he already hit it back then in Parshas B'Shalach when he really had to hit the stone. He hit the stone. So now all you have to do is speak to the stone. But a different stone you had to hit. For the first time you have to hit the stone. Moshe Rabbeinu understood all this. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what was the problem? Because like Rashi says once there was kas. Once he said Shimu na'amarim, listen to me, rebels. Once he acted in anger, then there would definitely be a mistake. What was the mistake? He spoke to the wrong stone, and then he hit the right stone. Everything was wrong. He wasn't supposed to speak. He was supposed to hit this stone or speak to that one, and he switched it around. It was a mistake, but it wasn't a mistake in understanding what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. It was a mistake in his decision to speak to this one and to hit that one. That was the mistake. And why? Says Rashi, because of kas. Mesilas Yesharim, this is Shem Shmuel says. Mesilas Yesharim speaks about Nikias in the parak of Nikias. Speaks about all the midas and how a person has to be completely clean, not only not to be over on an Isra Torah, but also to be completely clean from even coming close to violating a lav in the Torah. Mesilas Yesharim talks about in that context. He talks about kas. He says that a kas, the anger of a person, has the power to overtake a person completely, so that every decision that he takes will be wrong, and a person, in the words of Mesilas Yesharim, can destroy an entire city in his anger, because the only thing that matters right now is what his anger dictates, and not what common sense dictates. The anger has the power to take over a person's thought process completely. Of course, not on the level of Moshe Rabbeinu, and we realize the type of mistake that Moshe Rabbeinu, mistake we even call it only on his level, and this, as the Torah tells us to understand it, that the two stones got mixed up. He spoke to the wrong one, he hit the right one, and it was such a plausible mistake because everybody's screaming at him, and he spoke to one stone, didn't work, and then he hit the other. That stone was the one that he was supposed to speak to. Why did that happen? It wasn't all coincidental. Because when a person has kas, even on the level of Moshe Rabbeinu, chas v'sholom, we can't even understand. Imagine the level of Moshe Rabbeinu, but on his level, that little bit of kas that he showed by saying Shimu na'amarim, at that moment, his thought process was clouded by his anger, and there's going to be a mistake. And the einish that he got was not because of the mistake, not because he hit the rock, it was because the anger that caused him to take the wrong decision. In Moscow, I noticed there's a very, very strong minhag. Somebody, if you're driving the street, somebody cuts you off, there's a minhag that you have to react. Either you have to honk your horn, or if you're really machmir, you have to open your window and yell at the guy. And sometimes I ask the drivers, taxi drivers, so what are you doing? You're never going to see this guy again in your life. What are you doing? I have to show him. All of a sudden, he becomes the achroi. He becomes responsible for educating the entire Moscow, everybody who has a driver's license in Moscow. He has to educate him because he cut me off. He's not allowed to do that. It's such an illogical reaction. You're never going to see this guy again. You really think that he's going to listen to you? And next time he's going to do it, yesterday, guy honked the horn at me. Now I'm not going to cut anybody off. There's not even any logic in it. Mesilas Yesharim says, when a person is overtaken by anger, logic plays absolutely no role in his decision making. There's only one fact that plays a role in his decision making. That's right now, what does my anger dictate? I have to do this. Rav Wolbe says a very striking thing when he talks about chinuch. So of course, a child does something wrong, you have to be mechanech him, you have to rebuke him. He did something wrong. It's your achrayis, it's your chiyuv. It's an obligation of a parent to educate a child that he did something wrong. Says that Rav Wolbe, but there's a very big difference. What am I doing right now? Am I educating my child, or am I taking revenge because he did something? Yeah, the child did something and I suffered from it. Now I yell at him. Why am I yelling at him? Am I yelling at him? Am I putting on a show? I'm showing a very angry face and I'm yelling at him. Why? Because I have a mitzvah right now to be mechanech my child. Kodesh Kadoshim, holy of holies, says Rav Wolbe. This is your chiyuv, this is your obligation, and if you do that, then your child will grow up to be a Talmid Chacham, a tzaddik, unbelievable. You're being mechanech your child. But if there's ever a little bit of anger involved, I have my own personal anger or my own personal revenge, not only was I not mechanech my child, and children have a very sixth sense how they can really see if the parent is sincere or not sincere. And if they feel out that the parent is not sincere, the education goes out the window. But not only was I not mechanech my child, says Rav Wolbe, but I was over nekama. I'm not allowed to be neikem, even if he's a child. Who gives you a shus to be neikem against a child? He did something wrong to you, you're doing something wrong back to him. Chinuch, it's not chinuch, it's nekama. If it's chinuch, then it's chinuch. If there's anger involved, there's no chinuch, there's nekama, there's kas, there's all sorts of terrible things that are happening when a person thinks he's being involved in the beautiful mitzvah of chinuch abonim. All of a sudden, all goes out the window. Lesson of Parshas Chukat, lesson of Moshe Rabbeinu, obviously on his level, not on our level, on his level, the kas, the minute shimuna amarim, that was justified even at that. They all came gathering and yelling at him. Of course it was justified, but that's what clouded his judgment for that second. And the einish, terrible einish that Moshe Rabbeinu got, not for hitting the rock and not for doing something wrong, it was for the fact that he at that moment, he allowed the kas to affect his judgment, and the kas can never affect a person's judgment. If the anger is what's making me decide one way or another, it's obviously going to be a wrong decision. Good Shabbos.